Boo! Whoops, whoops, you're not supposed to see that yet. Sorry. Hey, guys. So, we have a couple things to go over today. A few movie things and a few game things, and one tech thing. I don't actually have that much to say about the tech thing, though. I mean, I've looked at it, it's like, yeah, okay, they're doing a tech thing. The end, basically. You know, there's not really much to discuss there. I don't want to disappoint Zoan, but of course he won't be here anyways because he's working. So I guess I'll have to discourage him from things. Actually, I do have something to talk about. I'll probably talk about the tech thing first. What's up, guys? So, I wanted to share something. That's right. I wanted to share something with you guys. Give me just a moment. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Give me a moment, guys. Give me a moment. Hello, let's see who we got here. Deutsch, Darkrai, Andre, Roximus, Krenzler, Bregvan, Django, Malakor, Permeus. Did I say hi to Leander? I can't remember. Hi, Leander. Surge, Mikes, what's up, guys? Oh, it's already up on the screen. Perfect. Hang on, let me just sync here really quick. With that. There we go. Alright. As you may or may not know, hello, super awesome KJ. So I picked this up. I haven't hidden this. As you can see, I'm in the Magitek Research Facility. I've been doing this for like about 6 or 7 weeks at this point, and this is as far as I've gotten. I don't want you guys to be like, oh, poor him, but it's interesting to me personally because this is indicative of how little free time I have right now. In that the only time I've had to play this game was in the cracks of my time, right? You know, in the little fragments of my time, and I have. And in 6 weeks, I've only gotten to the Magitek Research Facility. I'm like 5 hours in. I hate the controls. I hate the controls. They're so terrible. Anyways, that's not what I want to talk to you about, though. I just wanted to show the case this really quick. I have finally actually found... Hey, Mr. Darkness. And hello, Dakota and Emperor Palpatine. I have finally found the first thing in the whole game that is actually superior in the mobile version to the GBA version. You ready for this? It's not that. It's this. Not this. This isn't it. But the train sequence. Can you hear me? This is really loud. Look, this is better than the SNES and the GBA version. Right here. It's the only thing. It's the only thing. Man, this is really loud on my end. And this is better too. Ugh, I'm speedrunning, guys. Oh, whoop. Okay. Oh god, KOTOR is on mobile, isn't it? Anyways. Setzer looks so weird in the mobile version, by the way. Oh, so it's funny you asked that, Roximus. The section where you go to the southern continent to go to Vector was completely different. Like, it was like they basically just took the image of the distant thing and just did this. And it lasted like 10 seconds instead of the whole slow descent into vector thing. It was just, and it's there! Okay, and now you're at Albrook. It was just, yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I'd show it to you, but I'm past that point, obviously. I don't have multiple saves. I should have saved that one. Boss time. No, I have not, Deacon. Never even heard of that. Oh, wait, no. Not boss time. My bad. So this is gonna be the whole stream, guys. I'm not actually doing Loreweek and talking about Kingdom Hearts or Transformers or FF15. And I'm not gonna be doing Blizzard Sunday. I'm just gonna be playing FF6 on mobile. I know, right, Illyria? Well, it's funny you say that, Darkrai. I tried those out when they first came out. And basically all they did was take away some of the filtering on the graphics. Have those advanced? Like, have those gotten better? Because I haven't been following them very carefully. I would love that. I haven't played FF6 all the way through since last year. You remember that? When we did the in-depth review of FF6? That's actually the last time I played it. Not counting the speedrun I did semi-recently. Which I don't count. Also, this version is very, very difficult, as you can see. I have to use my brain to control it. Alright, now, let's try to steal again. Keep trying to steal. Alright, now get healed. Okay, now I want you to Raging Fist, left, right, left, A, okay. Whoops, now I want the phone to go... There we go, whoops. No, I really don't. All joking aside. How are we doing health-wise? We should probably heal. Hi, Magister. Hello, Malayas. I swear after we get to the next save point, I will go back to Loreweek. I really will. God, I hate this interface. There. It takes so long to do anything. And yeah, make sure you voot, by the way. We're trying out a whole new vooting system today. Oh, there we go. And I want you all to try it out. I want you all to voot. Go voot. Voot, voot, voot. Voot, 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 voot. Oh, voot, 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 voot. Voot, voot, voot. Voot, 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 voot! Oh, God damn it, that's right, there's no save until after I fight the next boss. Hang on, hang on. Hang on. Hey, little Billy. You have no idea how hard it is to control this with sprint shoes, by the way. You'll notice I don't even have sprint shoes on. Oh, wait, nope. Yes, Lurker is the one who brought that one. He's not here at the moment, unfortunately, because he hates us. So look at Setzer. I mean, I know, different preferences, but that looks terrible to me. Just... By the way, look at Kefka. I mean, we've seen him before, but ugh, really? So let's see what the cranes look like. They look like the cranes. Nothing really new there. Hey, Valvedrix, excuse me. Here's what the airship looks like on board. Nothing really different here. In fact, it's probably one of the most like the original things in the game so far. Hey, Mafia. Voot! Alright. So I want to see something. Because the auto battle is weird. The auto battle will auto-input rage inputs, as I think you saw. I wonder what auto battle will do with slots. I don't think they will, Little Billy. But, you know, because we had Heroes of the Storm last week, and I'm not sure how WoW would work. Mugu Mugu! Okay, so we are literally about... You are about to see... This is what the airship looks like. This is the first time I've seen it. Oh, the Vector looks like ass, too. That isn't too bad. That isn't too bad. That's the first time I'd seen the airship, either, what you just saw there. Ranked Battlegrounds, that's a great idea. Except I can't play with any of my WoW viewers because they're all European. Am I the only one feeling the slowdown here? Is that just me? I mean, seriously. I've played this game 1,000 times. This feels slow to me. Oh yeah, there's Pink Terra, by the way. This is the phone version, yes. I just realized I can't save until we do this cutscene too. We'll just pause that then. So someone asked for me to do a more festive background since the holidays are coming, so I went out and bought a brand new background. You're welcome for Loreweek. You're right, my phone cannot play Final Fantasy VI, or it's a poorly coded piece of crap port. I mean, both are acceptable. Let's talk about stuff. Let's start with movie stuff, or because I imagine that's going to be less interesting. So for those of you not aware, Transformers 5 has been formally announced. They've already released the trailer for it. I imagine most of my viewers don't actually give a damn about Transformers 5. That's fine. That's acceptable. The less people who give a damn about it, the less possibility I have for having to cover it. Why is this? Oh, right, it's the wrong resolution. I forgot about that. I need to actually fix that manually because it didn't come in the resolution I wanted. There. Manually fixed. Anyways, so let's see. I just want to give you my thought process really quick on the Transformers series. Transformers 1. Entertaining, but ultimately bleh. Because you couldn't see the damn Transformers. It's rather infamously repeated that the Transformers stuff, hey Corwin, was expensive as hell to render, so they deliberately went out of the way to shoot scenes so you couldn't actually see the Transformers in many situations. That sucked. Transformers 2 has a script that I have quite literally, it's not a joke, I have actually literally used Transformers 2 as a textbook example of bad writing. I'd say that's all I have to say about Transformers 2, but it's not, because Transformers 2 did do one other weird thing that was actually good. Can anyone guess what that is? Honest question. It's actually probably the best in the series for this one aspect, for this one thing. Right, notification. That's why I pulled this up for. Here it is. The one thing Transformers 2 did better than any other Transformers thing was the Transformers. Now, I know that sounds weird, but I mean that sincerely. It's the one that actually showcased the Transformers and actually did the graphics and visual directing style of the Transformers themselves the best. I'm serious. If you really take it back, reanalyze the film. I've done an analysis on Transformers 2. This is not a joke. Reanalyze the film. The actual Transformers themselves are, in my opinion, best presented in the second movie. We see Optimus Prime being a complete badass. We get to see some really great Transformer-on-Transformer fight scenes without shaky cam, without cutting away so you can't see it. Nice, big, long shots of giant robots fighting. It's the only reason I still have a copy of Transformers 2. Then we have Transformers 3. My personal opinion, worst of the series. Transformers 3 was garbage in so many ways. Oh my god, just so many ways I did not like Transformers 3. I could go down the list of how bad Transformers 3 is, but I like to just bullet point it every now and again by saying that the big climactic battle between Optimus Prime and Megatron lasts about 7 seconds, and Optimus Prime just straight up murders Megatron when Megatron reaches out a hand of friendship to Optimus Prime. I think that's the best way to summarize my problems with Transformers 3. There's many others. Many others. Then there's Transformers 4, which I spit on. Transformers 4 did a couple of... Transformers 4 felt like the Voyager of the series, because it actually had a couple of points that were really good potential. It really started examining a world, a post-Transformers world, and it started being like, oh my god, look, there's going to be this new, era of... the humans being against the Transformers and this government conspiracy thing and how the cynicism of the circumstance. There's all this possibility that is never followed through on at all, of course. So it's like, we've got this interesting premise that we immediately drop to have a discussion about the Romeo and Juliet laws of all goddamn things. But then, on top of that, hi Myron, immediately following that is... the fact that they cheated in Transformers 4. Now, I've discussed this with several of my friends recently, so forgive me, I kind of have this memorized, but the one thing that I will always give praise, and I will still give praise to Transformers 1, 2, and 3, is the special effects. I know that's something that doesn't really mean much. I know that special effects do not excuse a bad plot. I know that they don't excuse a bad, scripting or dialogue or anything like that. But I actually legitimately think the special effects designers, directors, art people, and the people who actually generate the effects themselves for the Transformers deserve a freaking medal. For two reasons. Number one, they've presented some really, really nice stuff. Like I mentioned, in Transformers 2, we really get to see the Transformers themselves on display. And number two, this is really important. For those of you not aware, the Transformers don't cheat in 1 through 3. They had a rule going into it. For those of you who have not followed Transformers over the duration of its existence, most times Transformers are presented in visual format, either comics or television. They cheat. Megatron is this giant dude who can turn into a gun. Just think about the mass difference here. That's just one example, but there's plenty of examples of literally cheating when it comes to the Transformers. They never cheated in Transformers 1 through 3. They had to decide how to take this truck. They did a full 3D scan of this truck, this actual specific model, with lots and lots of advertising money, or not, sponsorship money. But they had to actually take this truck, figure out how to turn it into a robot, and then had to figure out the transformation sequence to turn it into a robot. When we see Optimus Prime transform in the first film, everything that he moves there is designed so that it makes sense. There's no cheating. There's no clipping. There's no points at which it just shrinks or grows. You are seeing the actual transformation as if it was actually happening. And that is much harder to do than it sounds. And they, in my opinion, they get huge props for that. They really do. in addition to the overall presentation of how they do the Transformers themselves. Then Transformers 4 came along and threw all that out the window. Just fling. Seriously. If you haven't seen it, I'd show you it, but I'm worried about copy wrong. If you haven't seen Transformers 4, rather than decide how to get from A to B, they go from A into a... This is not a joke. They literally turn them into a cloud of pixels that fly through the air, and then those pixels turn into the Transformers. No need to compare the mass one-to-one. No need to shrink. No need to decide where fits what and how the head can fold in this section. They don't have to decide any of that. No design. No credit. And they change the mass, actually. So people have analyzed it. It's just... And then they're the Transformer. And in some cases, they've just got hundreds of these goo monsters going... And it's frickin' cheating. I'm sorry, it is. It was the one thing I could always give Transformers, and it's gone. Anyways, that's my opinion on the Transformers movies in a nutshell, because it's never really been asked of me. Well, that's not true, but... Transformers 5, so... In Transformers 5, first of all, there's a very, very... the Dinobots didn't transform, really. They kind of did, but not really. Anyways, in Transformers 5, there's going to be... So, I have a feeling that this is editing cheating. I have a feeling that this is slanted marketing. Because the whole trailer is designed to make you think that Optimus Prime is now the bad guy. And Megatron is now the good guy. And, excuse me, Galvatron is now the good guy. I don't think I believe that. I don't think I think that's actually what's going to happen. But the one and only thing that has actually got my eyebrow raising at all in Transformers 5 is the fact that apparently, finally, Unicron is actually going to be presented in the movie. I don't know if it's actually going to be Unicron. It could just be something else. For those of you who don't remember, there were lots of hints in the marketing and the trailers back in Transformers 3 that said, oh my god, it's going to be Unicron, and it turned out to just be Cybertron and, Spock. Leonard Nimoy was the bad guy. I don't feel like... See you around, Dwellin. I don't care about spoiling. Spock was the bad guy in Transformers 3. There's the spoiler. It's really obvious. So, yeah, there's... I have a feeling that this could be yet another bait and switch, or maybe they could finally be giving us Unicron. I don't know. Michael Bay himself, excuse me, not Michael Bay, Steven Spielberg, has said for a few years, since back in Transformers 1 and 2, that one of the things he wanted to do most with a Transformers movie was Unicron. And we'll see where they go with that. I am actually just a little bit curious as to where they're going to go with that. I don't really have much else to say. I don't even know if I'm going to see it yet or not. I suppose I'll do a poll at some point to see if my viewers actually care. But, yeah. So, then we've got, please don't remind me of the ending of Transformers 3. It was so bad. It was so bad. Alright, hang on. Let's kill Megatron in 7 seconds. And then there's this really, really lame, like, 70s sitcom level lame marriage joke. And then Optimus starts speechifying the end. That's the ending. That's not a joke. Spiderman Homecoming got a trailer recently. For those of you not aware, it does have MCU inferences, and I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is in it as Tony Stark, and he does have the suit a couple of times. I will say a couple of things. First of all, I actually made this comment before on Loreweek, actually. For those of you not aware, Sorry, I woke up like 30 minutes ago. Uh, Vulture is a joke. Okay, for those of you who haven't actually read the comics, the Vulture is a damn joke. He's pathetic. So their way they're presenting him so far in the movie feels like exactly what I wanted. I talked about this on Loreweek too. I said, the Vulture's a joke, and he's stupid, and he's pathetic, but what would be awesome is if they took this pathetic character and made him awesome. And I used examples back then of other characters in the MCU who are pathetic in the comics, who have been made awesome in the movies. It feels good to be right. The new Vulture looks awesome. He actually looks really threatening, really menacing. He basically has a full body suit, kind of Iron Man style, actually, just with a few additional bits and details to him. And the actor who's playing him actually comes across as genuinely menacing in his tone, in the way he speaks. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Vulture overall. Also, I will say that there are two lines of thinking when it comes to superhero, villain, and character interactions. Actually, you know what? Maybe I could show you the trailer. Do you guys think I could show a trailer without copy wrong? Because I could just grab the trailer really quick and toss it to you here. What do you guys think? Do you think there'd be copy wrong out of trailer? I guess it depends if there's any music in the trailer. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Let's not bother. It's cool. Go watch it. You can find it on YouTube. Spiderman Homecoming trailer. It just came out like 3 days ago. It's awesome. Whoa, shoot. The problem with it just occurred to me, the problem with trailers is they usually have some licensed music in the background of trailers. So I could only show it without sound. I guess I could show it without sound. You know what? Give me a second. Give me a second. Hang on. Pardon me. Shut up. Let me just grab the trailer really quick here. Will literally take only a few seconds. Pause this. It should already be here. It's right there. Okay, so here we go. Can you see this? No, you can't. Give me a moment. There we go. Okay. So here's without sound, okay? No sound. So, this is borrowed from KinoCheck. Thank you, KinoCheck, for grabbing this for me. So as we can see, we've got Spidey just doing his thing. I do want to showcase one little tidbit that reminds me of Spider-Man. I'm going to turn on the audio for like a few seconds here.
Oh, that was awesome.
He feels very Spidey in this. Now, I do want to be 100% honest about this. I was one of those people who was very against One More Day with Spider-Man, along with the rest of the known universe. I have legitimately never talked to anybody who was interested in Spider-Man at all, comics, books, movies, games, or whatever, who actually liked One More Day. Really. But the one thing that has been levied several times at this, and I've heard this several times, was that, hey, guys, you Spider-Man geeks were so against One More Day. What the hell is wrong with you? Yes, Roximus, that is correct. And they're all like, what's wrong with you for not liking One More Day, but you like this? Because here's the thing, for those of you not aware, the actual point behind One More Day was to get Spidey back to this state. The non-married man without Mary Jane, with, back when he was still a kid, because that's dumb. I'm not even going to go into it. So why do we like Spidey being presented back as the kid here? And I have to admit, I don't really like the fact that he's a kid again by itself in a vacuum. Except for one really big point here. Don't leave a like. And that's the fact that this is a necessary thing. There's really only one way to go into this, and that's the fact that Spider-Man needed to be rebooted for like the 70th time. He's just getting the door. And they had to start off with a new Spider-Man. They can't just have him be an already established Spider-Man. They need to establish the character, and this is important, differentiate him from pre-existing Spider-Man so that people know this is a completely different character from previous existing Spider-Man. So that's why they're going ahead and having him be a kid who's still in school, and that's why they're having him basically being rebooted yet again. Now, as Epsilon points out, thank God they're skipping the origin story. He's already Spider-Man. He's at the very beginning of his career, but he is still Spider-Man. Now, I do want to point out one thing. I can't be the only geek at all who looks at that right there and just cries at the loss of that Lego. I feel bad for the set people who had to build that Lego, and if they had to like do like a second take on rebuilding the Lego Death Star there. It's a Lego Death Star, by the way. God, that would just be so horrible. It broke. Anyways, so his friend there finds out that he's Spidey. And, yeah, the end. A couple of scenes here that are similarly cut. There's something going on in the DC mind. There's Vulture! So there's Vulture. Did you get a nice shot of that? I'll give you another one. Seriously. Tell me you got a nice shot of that, because he looks pretty awesome there. This is where Stark basically tells Spidey, I'm going, there are people who already exist to deal with this. We're already going to be dealing with these kind of problems, so, you just stay out of it. And I actually like that kind of an arc, by the way. Now, here's the thing. This is what I really like about this here. Well, yeah, exactly, Dakota. This is what I like about this take on things. The idea here is that Spidey, he actually says earlier, I want to sign up with the Avengers. And Stark basically says no. And that makes perfect sense. Given all that Stark has been through at this point in time, and his character arc and the direction his character has been going, he's been getting more and more anti-superhero, as opposed to more pro-superhero. So I like that, and I like the idea that he's basically saying, stay out of this, kid. I mean, you're great in a pinch, and it's great having you in a pinch. I have a feeling Stark is going to regret having called on Spider-Man in this one. And I like the fact that Stark is effectively becoming the new, I almost said Uncle Owen. The new familial figure here for Peter. Now, I also, I really like the idea that the arc here is that Spider-Man is... No, I just did the video, the stream measure. The arc here, this is, of course, me just talking out my ass, of course, but what I feel from the framework here is that Spider-Man is going to come up with his whole great power, great responsibility, blah, blah, blah thing on his own. What I mean by that is, rather than have someone else try to explain to him that you have a responsibility to use your power for the help of others, he is going to be told you shouldn't use your power for the help of others. And then his own sense of morality and justice and whatever else that's within him is going to make him want to be that hero. In other words, he is going to arise through adversity rather than being lifted up, if you follow me. He's not being... Yeah, exactly, Braywin. He's figuring it out for himself, is what I think they're going with this. Because every line Stark has in this is, stay out of it, stay out of it, stay out of it, stay out of it. You're not joining the Avengers. In this exact scene, the reason I have it frozen on this scene is what he's saying in this scene is, there are people whose job it is to take out monsters like this. You go back to school. And I love the idea that Parker can't help but say, but I want to help, but I want to do good. That's very Parker, and I like that. And, of course, there's going to be consequences for that. There's Vulture, again, looking mean. That was probably a scene from one of the final battles there. Vulture, of course, has this big gun. And so Deacon asks about the Chitauri tech. Oh, of course, reference to the rainy Spider-Man there. So there's Spider-Man Homecoming. I do have to... Agreed, Roxanimus. I do have to say that I like the idea of the Chitauri tech being used because it should be. In other words... What I mean by that is there's a degree of continuity to Chitauri tech, which has been introduced to humankind at this point, being used by someone for good or for evil. I mean, of course, we already saw the Energon Cube weapons that they were using in Avengers, but that's not what I mean. I mean, there were... It's the kind of story I would do. The kind of story I would do. If you said, all right, I want you to make a story in post-Avenger society, and I'd look at the Avenger stuff, and I'd think, well, that's a lot of Chitauri tech just lying around New York City. I mean, that's a lot of Chitauri tech. How hard would it be to get a hold of some of that and get it to any number of organizations that could use that for good? You get where I'm going with this direction? So I like that. And, of course, I really do like the presentation of his suit, which I'll try and give you a good freeze frame here. Pretty good presentation of the new Vulture here. Exactly, Leander. Exactly. So there's Vulture, and he's and I do, to make this clear, I do actually very much like this actor for Spider-Man. I commented on this during my Civil War video, but I do think he's really, really good. He is very good at the young Spidey. He is very good at the kid Spidey. So, just my opinion. I don't have anything else to say on this one. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think we even have a release date yet. At some point. It makes perfect sense, Malachor. Have you ever seen Michael Keaton play a villain? Okay, so do I have any other movie news? There's a Mummy movie coming out. The end. War for the Planet of the Apes is coming out. I am actually kind of excited about that one. The Planet of the Apes series, the first one that came out actually didn't catch me, if I'm being honest. Then the second one came out, and that was actually like, oh, that's kind of good. And then it just kind of dragged me in, basically. Yeah, that old movie, Empire Strikes Back. I don't know what I think of the Mummy yet. I liked Mummy 1, and I really enjoyed Mummy 2. Mummy 2 is among my, I like to watch it every now and again. Movies. Mummy 3 was, I think the nicest thing I could say about Mummy 3 was that I didn't like it. I think we'll just leave it at that. So why don't we move on to something pseudo related. I got to be honest, I don't even know what to talk about. It was actually requested of me to talk about this. So I'm sorry for what's going to sound like a really strange, disjointed conversation, but I don't really have much to talk about here. Yeah, let me pull this back up. So, The Last Guardian came out. For those of you who weren't following it, Last Guardian had several release dates. Actually, I've already talked about this on my stream, so forgive me the repetition for those who watch my stream regularly. It has had several repetitions of, hey, it's got a release date. And then it missed the release date, and they went back to work on it again. Oh, hey, it's got a release date. And then it missed the release date. And so this is going to sound really cynical, but when I found out that it actually came out, my response was genuine surprise. My response was just, wait, it actually came out. And I legitimately did not actually believe it the first time I saw it. And I'm like, it actually came out. Really? It really did. Because it's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed for a billion years. Rough exaggeration. So I was not what you'd call enthused about Last Guardian. To make this clear, by the way, I want to make this absolutely clear. I am not blaming the developers of Last Guardian on the delaying thing. Actually, several of the delays were never actually intended to be release dates. There were several, shall we say, marketing releases that were done by, like, Sony, for example, or a group of company that had nothing to do with the actual developers that was like, hey, so Last Guardian is totally coming out. And then, from what I understand, several of the developers involved actually said, stop doing that, we're not ready yet. Anyways, so, Last Guardian, I obviously haven't played it. I'd pull up the PS4 image, but you get the point at this point. I have not played it. I probably won't, unless it's something that's requested by the show. I have no real interest in it, to be 100% honest, because I've never been a fan of the series. I know I recently did a rumination on Ico that I think has already come out. Pretty sure it has. And of course, there's Shadows of the Colossus, a very different style of game, even though it's a prequel, basically, to Ico, excuse me. But what I want to know is, there's a problem. No, Darkrai. There is a problem with development cycles. I've talked about this before. I actually talked about this about yeah, I know, right, Lurker. I talked about this with regards to FF15, actually. People had asked me for the past, like, 7,000 months, slight exaggeration, that I actually, are you excited about FF15? And my answer was always universally no. And, that only changed about a month ago at this point, so, a couple weeks before it came out. Because I'm one of those people, and I've talked about this before, I'm one of those people who, if you say, here's this new thing that you're interested in, it's coming out in 3 years, my immediate reaction is, okay, lockdown, put it into the corner of my brain and forget about it for 2.9 years. I don't want to hear about something 3 years in advance. And the build-up to FF15 took forever, right? And it is my honest opinion, taking away my personal bias from it, from a purely business perspective, that if a game or movie or work or whatever is delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, it reaches a point of basically you get into the point where you can't make up lost time. Like you have officially started losing interest and external hype because it's just taking too damn long to come out, right? You announced it too early, or it's been delayed too many times. Now, Last Guardian, of course, has been in development for many years at this point. I actually looked up the amount, I forget right now, but it's been several years since Last Guardian was coming out. And yeah, there's a fatigue. That's a great word for it, Deacon. There's a fatigue factor involved when it comes to something like this. And I mention this with regards to Last Guardian because when Last Guardian was announced, however many years it's been ago at this point, I was like, cool. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of the series. I know series isn't quite an apt word, but let's be honest. There is a similar feel between the three games. And so when I first heard about it, I had played Shadows of the Colossus relatively recently to when that was announced, and I was like, that sounds cool. I'm looking forward to it. And that level of hype evaporated as the delays came on. You see where this goes. But I mention this because I know two people personally who were very huge fans, just gargantuan fans of both Ico and Shadows of the Colossus. And both of them had the exact same thing happening to them because they were like, yeah, nope. Interest went away. It took too long. I'm not blaming the developers for that. Because I don't know what happened with the developers. I don't actually know why there was 1,000 million billion years delay. I don't. I do not know the truth. So I don't know if there were mitigating factors. I don't know if it was their decision to announce it 6 years in advance. But 6 years development time at this point in history is just... It's not the kind of thing that's going to work because of that exact same problem I mentioned. Now, all of this, in my opinion, explains why some people have been automatically criticizing the game so much, because they've been waiting for it for 6 years. I have a feeling, this is just a hunch, this is just an opinion, that there are people who are bashing Last Guardian for no other reason than for that 6 years wait. Because they have that whole... after all this time, surely it's going to be this amazing game, and it's just, it is merely a good game, or maybe there's some flaw in the game that is exaggerated for them more than it would usually be, all that kind of stuff. Maybe they're like, and it's kind of it's a form of pendulum theory. I don't know, of course. I have no idea if that is the truth or not. I have seen a few things involving the production of the gameplay of Last Guardian, and everything I've seen has indicated to me that it's a more sophisticated Ico. That sounds cool and all, but I mean, I don't mean it's an aping of Ico. I mean the style of gameplay of Ico, the U plus AI style of thing, and the pseudo explorative puzzle solving adventure, for lack of a more specific terminology. I probably won't get it unless I am required to for the show. But then again, like I said, I'm the wrong person to ask that. The whole series has always been a popcorn thing for me. Ico I have played twice, because I played it originally, then I played it for the show. Shadows of the Colossus, I have played like 1.5 times. You know, I played through it once, and then I've played a couple of specific Colossi for friends to show them off, and that's about it. So I don't have anything negative to say about Last Guardian itself, other than the development thing. Now, I was asked just a moment ago by Taxman, what is the ideal launch date? Now, there's actually two answers, or excuse me, ideal release, you know, when's it going to come out, announcement for me. There's two answers to that. One is for me personally. Me, personally, about a month. Now, I know that's not realistic, and I know that's not feasible, but in my ideal world, where I am king of the holodeck, if, you know, let's say Spider-Man Homecoming was just announced, and it's coming out next month. That would be ideal for me. I'd be like, yeah, super hype. No period of time for the hype to go down. I'm ready. I'm timed. Okay, let's do it. You know, and then like, oh my God, next month Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is coming out. You know, that would be awesome. I understand that that doesn't work in real life. So the more moderated answer to that, the more realistic answer to that is actually what I call about the 6-month rule. It doesn't have to be 6 months on the dot, but if you announce something about 6 months in advance to when it's coming out, you have something where people like me I mean, 6 months is still a long time for me. I understand the process of time and all that. So for me, 6 months would still be a thing where I'd put it into the back of my mind and forget about it for 5 months. But there would be no real fatigue involved because it's only 5 months, you know? So that way, you know, oh, well, I'll forget about it for 5 months, but then when that comes back, it's still fresh in the cupboard, if you understand. And for other people, see, I understand that there is a very important thing for a lot of people, for a lot of fans, and this is an important thing to be kept in mind business-wise and marketing-wise, and that is not everyone has that money to drop a month in advance. Some people need to plan to make sure that they have money to spare for when, you know, this game comes out, or this, you know, if Last Guardian was announced 6 months ago, most people interested in it would have had the time to get to set aside the $60 out of their budget in order to be able to afford it, right? So the 6-month range is, in my opinion, the best way to do that, keeping in mind both sides of the perspective. I very, 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 very much disagree, both from a business perspective and a personal perspective, with the overhype mentality that has been pervading most marketing for everything. Comic books, video games, movies, television, books, freaking theater in some parts of the world. You know, I think it is massively overdone at this point in our lives and has been for years. This is not a new problem. 1 year in advance would be way too much for me. 1 year in advance is when fatigue starts to hit in for me. A year's a huge period of time. Lots and lots and lots of stuff can happen in a year. I don't even want to know anything before the 6 month, really. That's, of course, for me personally. But, yeah, as Roximus points out, there's a lot of time in a year to generate a lot of artificial hype, and which will actually hurt real hype. You follow? And I hope it's good, Darkrai, because, I mean, obviously I don't know. But I hope it's good. But yeah, so, like I said, I feel like there's like a curvature of like, you know, too early doesn't generate enough hype. Hype is required for marketing, let's be honest. But then there's like a point at which it kind of peaks, and then it drops off, and then it continues to drop the longer it takes. I feel like this right here best describes the hype curvature. And then, like, over here is at the several year mark, you know, when you're at the point where it's so hyped that it's actually lower than if you had announced it like the day it came out. And then it just keeps going down the longer it takes. I think off the top of my head, the only game to date that has actually come out that was years and years and years and years and years and years and years in the development cycle that didn't disappoint me, that didn't push me away and make me go, ugh, was StarCraft 2. I think that's the only one off the top of my head I can think of that had a massive development cycle that didn't disappoint me or didn't overhype me in some way or another. And, of course, you guys didn't know me when StarCraft 2 was coming out, but when the original StarCraft 2 was coming out, I looked at the trailer and I was like, okay. And that was about it because it had been so long. Again, you know, the over-fatigue. When the game came out and I actually played it, you know, I loved it, but... Anyways, oh, excuse me. See, that would make sense to me, Deacon. I mean, if people are going to leak stuff, because leaks are going to happen, deliberate and otherwise, and a lot of there's going to be the impossibility of keeping a product or project secret. But as far as the actual people in charge of the thing, I agree with you. With actual public release, actual public announcement at about the 6 month mark, that kind of a thing. I like that idea. Skyrim is actually a great idea, a great example of the 1 year thing, by the way. For those of you not aware, Skyrim was announced 1 year before it came out, almost to the day, because it came out on like a day that was like it was Elder Scrolls 5. You remember that, and so Skyrim, I had the exact same reaction to Skyrim when it first came out. When I first saw the announcement, I'm like, yes, huge Elder Scrolls fan, loved Oblivion. Really liked Fallout 3. I know it's unpopular. I don't care. I really liked Fallout 3. And then I was like, yeah! That was it. 11, 11, 11. Thank you. I knew it was indicative. And I was like, yeah! And then a year passed. And by the time I got to the year, I was just like, eh. Now, I did enjoy Skyrim. I still think it was a net positive, despite how much I have bashed that game. But I think that year, that's a good example of literally a year. And yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 was announced way, way, way too early. And you mean like in the intro of Skyrim, Django? What do I think about Kingdom Hearts 3? Now that's actually a great question. If I'm being 100% honest, I have zero hype for Kingdom Hearts 3 right now. Zero. It has been something that has been mentioned as being in development and talked about in development for way, way, way too long. And at this point, I think of it more as in the next Kingdom Hearts game rather than as if the 3 has any significance. I could talk a whole lot about that, so I guess I will. Let's mark the Kingdom Hearts part of our discussion here. It did, Choco. You're right. You're right. Whoops. Make sure that's clear. Let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 3, or more accurately, 2.8. I never really bashed Skyrim. I have significant negative things for Skyrim. I really do. I think there are some very negative aspects to Skyrim. And it's not a game I have any real interest in replaying at this point going forward. But, I mean, I agree. I do think the game was a net positive, despite everything. I admit the DLCs helped a lot with that. But the same could be said of Fallout 3. Fallout 3 and Vanilla, even I will admit, was kind of... and then Fallout 3's DLCs were awesome. and that just really, really helped salvage that game for me. But I'm getting off topic. Kingdom Hearts, right? So here's the thing. I have noticed amongst some Kingdom Hearts fans, Roximus, I'm curious of your thoughts on this too, by the way, and anyone else who's a big Kingdom Hearts fan in the chat right now. I have noticed amongst Kingdom Hearts fans that there's, or even half Kingdom Hearts fans, or even non-Kingdom Hearts fans, that there's this big expectation that Kingdom Hearts 3 will be a big game. Have you noticed that? That Kingdom Hearts... I know we've all heard the thing that Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 are the only main Kingdom Hearts games, which is a flat-out lie. It is wrong. That is not true. But Kingdom Hearts 3... I've still felt, even amongst Kingdom Hearts fans, this expectation that 3 will be the big one. And I don't have that mentality. To me, Kingdom Hearts 3 is the next in the series. Now, I'm not saying I'm not interested in it. I'm not saying I'm not excited about it. We did Overwatch last week, Rasker. We've officially started the new system. Whichever 2 games win are removed from the rotation until all games have had a chance to be out. Yeah, exactly, Roximus. That's a great way to put that. All eyes are now on Kingdom Hearts 3, especially with regards to Square Enix and their developments and how fans view them. But I don't think that way. I think that it's the next Kingdom Hearts game. They have already flat out stated that if all goes well, there will be another Kingdom Hearts game after 3. There are some issues with that, but we played Overwatch last week as well, Raskor. We played Overwatch and we played HOTS. But yeah, I mean, why the big Chakong thing? What if the game sucks? I have no idea. Really, I don't know. Some people say FF15 sucks. I disagree. I haven't even played FF15 and I disagree. I think FF15 might be flawed, because it is, but anyways, so there's this big... Now, the reason I mentioned that, though, the reason I mentioned the big mentality thing is I fear that that is one of the reasons why I have no hype for Kingdom Hearts 3, and very, very, very little hoip for Kingdom Hearts 3. No, Xehanort, Deutsch, not Sora, Xehanort. Replace the two. Because to me, Kingdom Hearts 3 is not some big thing. It's the next game in the series. 2.8 has risen from the fact of being, here's going to be a game that's basically a rehash of Dream Drop Distance, to which my thoughts are okay. To okay, it's going to include some stuff from Unchained, or rather the other side of Unchained. It's also going to contain some new stuff from Aqua. And over time, they've basically been putting more and more stuff into 2.8 to the point where I'm genuinely excited about 2.8. It is basically the next Kingdom Hearts game at this point. It's going to be small, it's going to be short, but it is effectively the next chapter in the series, right? By contrast, that's exactly how I feel about Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just the next chapter, and I have no idea what they're going to be doing with it. But I'm getting off topic. Let me go ahead and just close this again. So I have to play this on mute, because copyright. I actually only have a couple things to talk about here that I haven't already. I'm going to try to avoid repetition. I really only do have a couple of new things to talk about. Enjoy your food, Dakota. So obviously, here's Kingdom Hearts. They're going to be doing the HD of the Dream Drop. There's the back cover sequence, and of course the new stuff with Aqua. Not really a lot new here. We do see significantly more actual gameplay, UI, wardrobe. There's going to be some kind of cosmetic thing, which is significant because from everything I've heard, this is still in the rumor phase, by the way, that is something that's also going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3. In other words, you're going to have transmog in Kingdom Hearts 3. You're going to have cosmetics. I like that. We get to see the Heartless Swarm in action. I really don't have much to talk about here, but, Heartless Swarm, cool. And then I'm going to blow my nose while this plays. Hang on. Nothing new for this sequence. This is Dream Drop Distance, again. So, couple things here. Again, I'm kind of just letting this play because there's really not a lot new yet to really talk about. There is some new stuff here, but most of this is stuff we've already talked about in previous trailers. So I don't really have a lot new to add. This is very interesting. This is super interesting right here. So we've already established 100% that at a certain point, pseudo spoilers, in Aqua's playable section, she is going to... Hang on. Let's get rid of the ugly mask. There we go. There's going to be a certain point in Aqua's playable section where she talks to basically a illusion of Terra. He's not actually there. And yet here, she walks up to these. She walks up to them, and Terra turns around and actually asks, "Can you see me?" And then she turns to Ven, and Ven is actually acting like Ven. In other words, his heart is still not in him. Hey, Kolvag. And you can see it very clear there. He's still doing the I'm not here thing that he's been doing since the end of Birth by Sleep. He's probably still, at this point in time, in Castle Oblivion and still locked away in the room of... I forget which room he's in, actually. Remembrance or Forgetfulness. We get the idea. So the implication here, I don't know when this occurs relative to the other stuff of the Aqua section. The implication here, though, is that Terra is actively trying to contact Aqua at this point in time. Keep that in the back of your mind, okay? Also, there's Aqua and Mickey who are both speaking on some form Room of Waking, thank you. On some form of Destiny Islands. In fact, more specifically, not just Destiny Islands, but the Destiny Islands that has been consumed and perverted by darkness, aka the last battle area of Kingdom Hearts 1. You can't, it doesn't really show it quite there, but you see it very clearly earlier. And she mentions how she's been here before. I have a feeling, by the way, that certain sequences of the Aqua story are actually happening before Kingdom Hearts 1 is concluded. I'll give more evidence for that, but that's one of the best pieces of evidence for that I just mentioned. I think that's where it's happening timeline-wise. This is another Dream Drop Distance sequence. There's them talking, oh my god, what are we going to do? Oh! Now, there's a line here. Of course, I can't unmute it, but it is, may your hearts be your guiding key. May your hearts be your guiding key. I did a little research, because my memory isn't the most perfect thing in the world, but I don't recall that line ever being mentioned before. Please correct me if this is wrong, because it would be significant. It is actually presented as significant here. It's Mr. Cloak Guy, the first Cloak Guy here, who is mentioning this. I don't know, based on the voice actor, if this is the hidden master, if this is the master, or if this is the lost one of the masters, because there's the two people who both actually wear cloaks in this time period. But he says that, and he says, I like to say that every now and again. And there's a couple of quick flashes, and then it cuts quickly to Mickey saying that exact same quote here. Now, and then Aqua actually mentions how that's a saying that hasn't been said in a long, long time. Sorry, I have a couple other quick flashes to cut here. They do have some very quick cuts to try and make sure you don't notice things, or to encourage you to notice things. So obviously, there's the Chirithy thing. I still think this is when Chirithys were designed. I still think this is when they were invented, basically. I've had the theory for a long time that Chirithys are an artificial life form. Also, you can see very clearly the dream symbol on its back right there. It would also make sense, of course, that this is a bubble of dream space, for lack of a better term, containing this thing. But anyways, there's the page being ripped out immediately after the Heartless. Unfortunately, all of the things I did for this, I couldn't see what's actually on the page. So there's the box, the really, really, really obvious box, which very clearly indicates darkness. It's got the black, the spikes, and the red. All of those things have been iconically darkness-related, visually speaking, during the Kingdom Hearts franchise. What interests me more about the way this is presented is the fact that there's something written there. Now, no matter what I have done, I have not been able to tell what that word is. And I've seen stills of this exact shot right here, which have really zoomed in trying to figure out what exactly that shot says. And I have no idea what that says. It's obviously some kind of significant thing. I will literally have to take your word on that, Roxymus, because I've tried this a few times. We do have the quick clockwork-looking thing there. Interesting factoid, really quick, about the various, the two people with the cloak on. They have different keychain things, so you can actually tell which one is which if you're paying very, very close attention. So now there's one last thing. It's pretty much the last thing I have to talk about that's significant. Actually, there's three things. So obviously this is obvious. Terra, who at the moment is being outlined by gold, which in Kingdom Hearts' visual directing means that he's not actually there. So that's just a representation of Terra fighting against Terra Nord in the realm of darkness. I mean, this is so obvious. This is very, very likely to be the two of them fighting for control and actually answering what the hell is going on with Terra. Remember, I mentioned during the Kingdom Hearts lore one of the biggest question marks that is still unanswered in the Kingdom Hearts series is what the hell happened to Terra between Xemnas and everything else that happened throughout the series. There should be some sign of that. Here's, something really cool looking. Clutching at Ven. Ven is still unmoving. He's not like, oh god, or anything. He's not struggling. He's still just the unconscious one there. And then... Now, I want you to pay attention to what Mickey has been wearing this whole time. It's actually kind of relevant because... Whoop, went a little too far. There we go. Here we see an interesting sight. This is the end of Birth by Sleep. I have only... I have only a couple of things to mention here. But he has Xehanort's Keyblade. He's in the cloak, and he's watching the Kingdom Hearts at the end of Birth by Sleep. This makes me very, very curious, because this has to be either a representation or something that I don't understand, because at this moment in time, if this is actually that final battle at the end of Birth by Sleep, Xehanort is on that plateau with his Keyblade. Because that Kingdom Hearts, the blue Kingdom Hearts, went away at the end of that scene, right? So, I guess I'm probably covering it a little bit. And then this way, you can see very clearly here. This is the same. This is the same Keyblade. That's Xehanort's Keyblade. But anyways, moving on, moving on. So this is the last thing I have to talk about right here. Give me just a moment. So this is Riku in his Kingdom Hearts 1 appearance, something we haven't seen in quite a long time, and more importantly, this is Mickey with his outfit that I pointed out earlier dissolving. This is my final point of evidence that this happens during Kingdom Hearts 1, prior to the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. Because there's one, and only one time in the Kingdom Hearts series that we have seen Mickey in the outfit that his outfit's dissolving to right now. And that's at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, when he helps them to close the door with Riku on the side of darkness. You remember that? If you actually paid attention, that's the one time it's ever been there. So, my opinion, my thoughts here, something is happening to Mickey's outfit. I don't know what, I can only speculate. But we do know outfits have actual power in this setting. It's not really new for that. So something is happening to Mickey's outfit, and this is happening prior to him shutting that door and then going through his adventures with Riku in order to reconnect himself. Ergo, it is my belief that most of the Aqua stuff, which is what this is representative of, are actually happening during Kingdom Hearts 1. Yeah, exactly, Leander. I actually really think that Sora missed actually reaching Aqua by, like, minutes because of whatever the heck was happening. And I think what we're actually going to be seeing with the Aqua side of stuff is the lead-in, like, here's the termination point of Kingdom Hearts 1. I think the Aqua stuff is going to be right here. And then leading into and concluding with Kingdom Hearts 1. That's just my theory. Like I said, there's a couple pieces of evidence, but this is the big one right here. Can you see all this? Is my head blocking it? Not really. Okay. And that's it. That's the trailer. Woo, I suppose. It would also fit the overall storytelling style of Kingdom Hearts thus far, because it would basically be filling in one of the only remaining holes in the story, because we really don't know what happened in that period of time. Riku just kind of suddenly made a switch, and a whole bunch of other stuff, blah, blah, blah. While we're talking about Square Enix related stuff, why don't we... possibly love Disney, but probably not. Why don't we talk about the Final Fantasy collection that has been leaked and rumored and talked all over the place? So for those of you not aware, they're coming out with a Final Fantasy collection next year for the 30th anniversary. Oh my god, someone's actually paying attention to an anniversary for once. And so what do we got? We've got supposedly, this is still not 100% confirmed, the first chapter of the FF7 remake will be coming out next year. 12, the Zodiac Age, will be coming out next year. That's much more likely to happen. Did I take a... Hang on, I need to take a timestamp before I go any further. Yep. Trying out. So those are both... one of those is definitely coming out next year. One of those might be coming out next year. And this is really big news, guys. The FF13 trilogy is going to be coming out on the PS4 next year. Isn't that awesome? In all seriousness, though, this is still in the realm of non 100% confirmed, so I want to. I actually thought about making a big old image that just said rumor, rumor. Just pretend there's a big rumor thing here, because this is all still in the realm of rumor. Okay, this is all still not quite confirmed. But here's the leak. So there's going to be a compilation and collection that will be coming out on the Vita and the PS4, which will include Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, to make this clear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will have 2 editions each. One edition will be the original, and one edition will be the latest port. Excuse me. The latest port in this case, for example, would be what I was playing earlier on my phone. The mobile port of FF5 and FF6, the Steam port of FF7, 8, and 9, and the Steam/DS version of FF3 and FF4, and the GBA/PS1 version of FF1 and FF2. Now, the one thing that's supposedly big news about this is the fact that they will actually be releasing the original versions too, as in the FF1, 2, and 3 NES versions, 4, 5, and 6 SNES. So, and well, and then that's it because it only goes up to 6. Now, the reason that's big news, and I say big, I'd say it jokingly. This is hilarious. When I first saw it, I was like, "Why is that news? FF2 and 3 have been out in English for years and years and years." Actually, they haven't. In fact, they never have been officially. FF2 and FF3 have never come out on the NES officially translated in English. And so this will be the first time, supposedly, that they are actually translated by Square Enix as opposed to us. And of course, I'm not referring to the GBA versions and whatnot. Woo, I guess. The funny thing about this to me is I look at this and I just tilt my head and say, well, I have no interest in this. I hate to say that. I really do. But if you think about it, all but 2 of these games are already on Steam, and except for 2 versions of them, are all the best version in question. You know, FF3 DS, FF4 DS, FF7, 8, and 9 on Steam are all the good version, the best available versions so far. So my official reaction is, well, I guess whatever. There is also a related rumor that FF1, 2, and 12, I believe was the other. Yeah, here it is. FF1, 2, 12, and Tactics, FF Tactics, and Chrono Trigger will be released on Steam in the coming year, which would officially make this obsolete for me. But, of course, I've said this before, and I'll say this again, not everyone has a PC. It is maybe a fairly well received, well commonplace gaming platform. It just doesn't mean everyone has one. And so someone who doesn't have access to a PC could now have basically every FF game on one system. In this case, the Vita, the PS4, or the PC. So I am still in favor of this, even if I don't actually care. But yeah, the idea of getting FF1, 2, 12, Tactics, and Chrono Trigger on the PC is awesome. It is supposedly the FF12 Zodiac version, specifically, and the War of the Lions version, the PSP version of Tactics, the DS version of Chrono Trigger, and the GBA/PSP version of FF1 and FF2 on PC. There's also, related to this rumor, there's also a rumor that FF7, the remake, and FF15 will be ported to PC, but are not being designed for PC. Unfortunate, and that also would not be coming until 2018 at the earliest. Yeah. That's all the basic news with regards to that. The Zodiac version is the international version. It doesn't change basically anything story-wise, but it does fundamentally change several aspects of the gameplay. There's actually a lot of changes in the gameplay. The biggest one being that there's actually classes. So if you've played FF12, there's the license board. Well, in FF12 Zodiac, there's the 13 license boards. Each one is a class, Dragoon, Fighter, White Mage, etc. And you pick a class when you first, you pick up a character, and you're locked into that. And then you get a class license board, which only has, like, spears, for example, for a Dragoon kind of a thing. And again, there's several other changes under the hood gameplay-wise for the Zodiac version. No change and no new news on that Necro that I have heard. Please feel free to correct me if I have not heard something. But everything I've heard has still indicated that there are people at Square right now, developers, I mean, people who actually work on the games, who still have a strong interest in doing a proper remake 3D-style version of FF5 and FF6, specifically those 2 games. I have no idea if that will ever come to fruition. The developers are not the people who make those decisions. But that's the only information we still have. That's the only concrete facts we still have about any possibility of future proper remakes. So a couple other things. This is a little more likely to be true. This is very detailed information here. So there's going to be supposedly 3 versions of the Collector's Edition, which is going to come out, okay? The regular version, which comes with the game and a poster. Woo. The Collector's Edition, which will come with all the games, a poster, an art book, an 8-bit Black Mage keypaint, keychain. I can talk, I swear. A Chocobo plushie, and 2 discs with songs that have been personally chosen by Nobuo Uematsu to be released on it. And then there's the Super Mega Edition, which will only be available through Square Enix's website directly. No other sellers will be selling it, which will be only available in limited quantities, which will include the games, and will also include additional games. So it'll have the collection, FF1 through 9. And then it will also have FF10 and 10-2 HD, FF12 Zodiac, FF13 Trilogy, FF15, and a Season Pass for all DLC. FF14, all expansions and a 3-month subscription. Some stuff you get for the FF11 mobile and FF14 stuff you can get in the game. In addition to that, you'll also get the soundtrack, the crystal necklace, the Moogle plushie, a Black Mage statue, 3 Final Fantasy trading card game starter decks, FF7 Advent Children, Kingsglaive, Brotherhood, and a chest. It'll all be in a chest with the Final Fantasy logo on it. Which is one of the closest things to owning every FF in one bundle that you can get. No, I agree with you, actually, Ventures. I really do. It's not the kind of thing I would buy. I would very much not buy this thing that has just been announced. Aside from the obvious money issues, I own all these games, and in fact, I actually own what I consider to be the best edition of all of these games. But I am very likely, if this stuff does come out on PC, if FF1, 2, 12, Tactics, and Chrono Trigger all come out on the PC, I am almost 100% likely to procure those. Not only to continue to encourage them to coming out with PC ports, which, by the way, I'd just like to say, mission accomplished, guys. I think we have succeeded on that one. But because, it would be nice to have them all in one place. If you don't know what I mean by that, you may not or may not remember months and months and months, actually almost a year ago now, a little over a year ago now, I bought FF13 on the PC, and a lot of my viewers were like, why? You don't even like FF13 that much. And I said, you're right. And I never plan to play it. And I haven't. I have 0 hours on my PC version of FF13, and I never plan to play it. But I bought it because I wanted to encourage them with my wallet to come out with their games on the PC. And I had a whole discussion about this. Some of you may remember this. I had a big old discussion about this last year, talking about the pros and cons of such a mentality. And we seem to have succeeded. It's been a year, and a lot of Square Enix games have come out on PC. And by all accounts, more will continue to come out. I really think we can call this mission accomplished, guys. I think we really did it. I think we actually convinced them through our votes and through our wallets to continue releasing stuff on PC. And that's awesome that we succeeded at that. It was basically a shot in the dark at the time. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but again, FF13 was the first thing they ported to the PC, and it was one of those, oh god, is this... Maybe? I mean, I don't know. God, I don't even like that game. Alright, fine, bye. And it succeeded, so woo! I don't actually have much else to say about this. I am very happy. About the fact that the collection exists. I do like the fact that they're actually doing something for the anniversary. They should. I'm very, very worried about FF7 Remake. I can't even put into words how much I want that to be good. We're going to segue this into something else, though, while we're talking about the FF15 thing, and that is the fact that FF15 is getting content patches. Now, obviously, there's going to be DLC. That's already been talked about. There's already, like, the Season Pass sort of thing regarding FF15. But they're actually talking about... the fact that they're going to have, like, there was a whole list. I don't remember it right now off the top of my head, but there's this whole list of stuff that's going to come out on, that they're going to add, that they want to add. I really should keep saying it that way, that they want to add to FF15. More playable characters, the ideas of seeing more of the story that kind of got cut out. They're going to be adding more sections of the game. They're going to be tweaking certain aspects of the gameplay. They're adding multiplayer. There's a whole list. I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me. New Game Plus is going to be added. Thank God for that. Lots and lots of stuff. And I'm talking about this not because it's cool, because it's cool. I don't really. The reason I don't have the list in front of me is because the list is irrelevant. This is unprecedented. A console JRPG is getting new content through patches, some of which is free and some of which will be pay. To my knowledge, that's never been done before. I mean, we've had MMOs and PC games, games designed for PC, but I don't think we've ever had a console JRPG that has decided to treat it like it's a PC game. And I mention that as such a weird thing because, like I said, the list doesn't matter. That's not the thing I want to talk about. I mean, it's some great stuff, but it's relevant because they're treating it like a modern game. I know that some people like to fling mud about console wars and PC versus console and console versus PC. None of that matters. I obviously don't have any particular opinion on that. What I mean, though, by a modern game is that we as a culture have reached the point in our entertainment society that the idea of a game being updated and being modulated and having more work done on the game after it's released is kind of normal now. That is a normal thing. We have left the era of a game is released and then you never touch it again. You would never see a patch for example, Super Mario Bros. 3, to go back quite a ways. You would never see, additional things being added to Super Mario 64. I hate to keep using Mario games. Banjo-Kazooie on the PS1, right? That didn't happen. That wasn't a thing. But we have moved forward so much now in gaming that the availability to patch a console game exists. It never really existed, except it hasn't existed since, or it has only existed in the past, I'd say about 6 years, give or take, something like that. And now it's a thing that's slowly starting to take up speed. Was Banjo-Kazooie in N64? Whatever, I don't care. What was the one where you spin and you rush for? That was Crash Bandicoot was the one I was actually thinking of. Am I saying this bad? No, I'm saying this is amazing. I'm saying this is exactly what should be happening. I'm saying that this is the point where this should happen. We should be at the point where I could look at the Stellaris game developer notes and say, oh, hey, they're adding these new things to this game that I already love. I'm super excited about playing that again and am more positively inclined towards the game, which makes me more inclined to buy DLC or expansions for Stellaris. You see how this works from a personal perspective and a business perspective, right? I'm more engaged and I'm more likely to buy. Now, of course, there are many, as has been pointed out in chat, there's lots and lots of negative aspects of modern games as well. Let's make that clear. But that is true, Taxman. I'll talk about that in a moment because that's a separate topic. But we are now at the point, after release support, basically. That's my point. We finally have the availability of after release support. And we have the possibility of, let's just go back in time a little bit. Let's go to FF12, okay? You remember FF12? I love FF12. I really love FF12 a lot. It's a great game. But there's a certain point of the game, and I pointed this out when we were doing the lore run, where the game just kind of stops. Where the lore just goes away. Where you could clearly tell that they had already designed dungeons and they hadn't finished the story. They were running out of time. They were running out of budget. There were some behind-the-scenes development issues. And imagine if FF12 came out now, in this era, where they would have the availability to add in the stuff that was missed, that was cut. You remember that? Think about that. Think about that possibility finally being exploited. Now, I'm going to go back to what Taxman was talking about there. I'm going to be 100% blunt, and I'm going to lose a lot of viewers for this, but I don't care. I'm not going to lie to you. I think we're at the point in time in which consoles aren't consoles anymore. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is going to be depending on independent perspectives. But I think we have officially reached the point where consoles don't exist. A PS4, an Xbox One, and by all accounts, a Nintendo Switch is a mini PC. In almost every way, it is a mini PC. The concept of a console, and I hate to go back to the old days, but the NES was a console. You plug in the game, push down the thing, you hit play, done. That's a console. That is what defines a console. That is what has always defined a console as different from computer gaming. Because some people don't remember this, but computer gaming was a thing in the 70s and 80s. It was just this big hassle, like it is now. Now, a console is still a very dumbed down version of a PC. Let's go ahead and get an asterisk out of the way. You can modify the hell out of a PS4, or an Xbone, or an Xbox 360, or a PS3, or a Wii U, or a Switch. Let's just get that out of the way. Yes, I know you can, if you know what you're doing. Modify the crap out of a console. Let's shove that out of the way. Now that we've got that asterisk out of the way, in the modern era, the point of a console is for the people who don't want to do that. As far as from a consumer perspective. The point is, plug it in, play it, go. It is a dumbed down PC, non-customizable PC, but we are now at the point now where it is so much of a PC that some of the framework of design, the framework of development and the framework of code is so similar to PC development cycles that the availability of things like post-release support is now a thing. They have the availability to patch FF15 on the PC. Or excuse me, on the PS4. That's a thing. That's an availability to do it. By contrast, you actually physically could not do that with the NES, or the SNES, or the PS1, and you get my point. PS3 was really the first, the PS3 era, I should say, is really the first era where patching a game like that was really feasible, especially on a wide-scale basis. You follow me so far? So the Switch will have the availability to be like a PC for the reasons I just mentioned. It will have the functionality of being effectively a mobile PC. I mean, we've already seen some of the hardware specs for it, some of which have been leaked. And the fact that it will have the availability to download games and patch games. But admittedly, I am much more talking about the PS4 and the Xbone. By the way, I'm sorry, this has come up before. I don't say Xbone as an insult. Let me make that clear. Xbone has stuck in my head as the summary way to say Xbox One, because Xbox One or Xbone, right? You with me? I'm not insulting the Xbone. I have nothing against the Xbone. You with me? I'm not saying that to be derogatory. Yeah, we are at this point now where it is my opinion that this is a good thing. Do you know why I think this is a good thing? Because I think it is a net positive. Because I think that the availability of post-game release patching, support of a game post-release, is a net positive, as opposed to saying it's a uniquely positive. So I can't remember who, someone in chat was saying, as chat was flying by here, that there are a lot of negative aspects to post-game release. Fix it after launch is a great example of that. Or the idea of launch it with bugs and crap and then not support it and just release DLC for it and hope people buy that, there are negative aspects to just about any side of any coin. And I don't want to sound like I'm saying that those don't exist and saying that those aren't there. What I'm trying to say, that again, just my opinion, just my perspective, I think this is a net positive because we now have the availability to do things like fix FF12. Just to name the big obvious example, since we're already talking about Square Enix stuff here. So I think this move by FF15 to patch and to DLC and to add post-game support is a positive thing, and I'm very excited about it. I am more excited about that than I was about FF15 to begin with. What God. So anyways, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Okay. Got a couple more other things here, really quick. I said I'd talk about Konami. I don't actually have much to talk about Konami. I have a question for you guys, though. How many of you guys... how many of you guys have ever played the TurboGrafx 16? Anyone? Honest question. I'm trying to remember. There was a game I actually played on it a fair amount. And I swear it was Bonk, actually. Like one of the Bonk games. I don't actually remember. A lot of people haven't even heard of the TurboGrafx 16, and that's fine. That's understandable, actually. For those of you not aware, there was an era there where, like nowadays, we kind of take it for granted that there's the big three. There's Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Some people don't really remember that once upon a time there were actually dozens upon dozens of consoles trying to get into the market, all of which failed miserably. Anyone remember the Neo Geo? Just to name one example. The Philips CDI. Actually, that one's probably got a little infamy. How about the Laser Active? Do you remember that thing? I mean, there were others. There were quite a few failed consoles that came out during that time. None of them really did that much. None of them really went anywhere. There used to be Sega. The Jaguar. That's another one. The Jaguar. So yeah, the TurboGrafx 16. I actually wanted a TurboGrafx 16. It was very expensive at the time. I had a friend who had it, which was not me. I did not have that kind of money lying around. But I mention this because Konami has moved to claim, basically, it's a little complicated, the trademark and copyright for the TurboGrafx, as in the label and the trademark. Now, that is fact. That's undeniable fact. There's no rumor about that Konami is moving to claim that particular legal right to the TurboGrafx. The question that then comes up is what the hell that actually means. Because that could mean so many different things. And we don't know. Because, like I said, that's the fact. That's the fact. One thing we do know, that's happening. As far as what that means, I mean, maybe they're just trying to prevent Hudson from doing anything, even though Hudson's been dead for years. Hudson was the other group who actually owned the TurboGrafx. Maybe they're trying to make their own console to try and compete with the big three. I mean, granted, like I said, in the modern era, the idea of competing with the big three console-wise is so weird that basically no one's really considered doing so. It's possible they're trying to get back into the console market. It's possible they're just trying to do that as a way to control some of the... as like an initial move to make backing for another legal move to control the various Hudson titles, the various Hudson trademarks and IPs, and then use those for things like trying to push more pachinko machines. I mean, I really don't know. There's so much that they could be doing with this, and I don't know what they're doing with this. I really have no idea. There's a lot of possibilities here. The oh yeah, or the ooh-yeah, is so pathetic that I'm not going to say anything more about it. Ooh, sushi. Not for me, I don't get sushi. Sadness. That's an interesting question, Permius. The answer is, of course, yes, but also no. So here's the thing. Hey, Ginger Ninja. Yeah, TurboGrafx was NEC, sorry. Are the Steam machines still around? I have no idea, and I don't care that much. I mean, Steam machines are mini PCs. They're basically laptops. So here's the thing. I think that if a company had enough money backing them to accept the fact that they would be operating at a loss initially, because they would, someone could muscle in to the console market. I do think that's possible, especially since, and I'm just going to be as blunt as I can, I think that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, all three of them, have gotten lazy with their control over the console market, and none of them have really been doing a lot to really push the console market. This is just my opinion, of course. But it's my opinion that someone new, someone who's like, yeah, I want to really make a thing, could shove their way in and actually make it work if they had the money to operate at a loss initially. That being said, realistically speaking, I don't think that's going to happen. So it is entirely possible that this is Konami. And Konami has done some very, very, very stupid decisions over the years. They're not exclusive to that, of course. And this could be them trying to push into the console market and doing so in the dumbest possible way. I don't know. I don't know. Konami... I don't know, Necro. I don't really have a big... Yeah, the last big push in the console market really was the Ouya, the thing that people are talking about. I really don't want to talk about the Ouya. Really, I don't. There's so little to talk about there. There was a video once released on YouTube that's like, here's what it's like getting an Ouya. It's one of the funniest things I've seen on the YouTube because it's like, buy the Ouya. It's like a step-by-step process to getting an Ouya, and it's like, buy the Ouya. Wait for it to be released. Wait for it to be released. Sync the controller. Play the game a bit. Resync the controller. Play Earthbound. Play Final Fantasy 3 DS. Realize that this is dumb. Return the Ouya. It was like step 22. Sell the Ouya. Buy another game that's funner. It's just, yeah. I think, I think the Ouya was the last actual attempt to try and push into the console market, because I really don't think the Steam machine counts in any way, shape, or form. It is basically a little laptop, for all intents and purposes. Let's see. Do I have anything else to talk about? I do have one last thing to talk about. This is just a brief thing. Very brief thing. For those of you... So I imagine most of my viewers don't care. Which makes me sad, actually. But for those of you who do care, Mechwarrior 5 was announced this last week. Now, I actually want to talk about this just really quick. Am I allowed to do that? I think that... he actually sold it to a GameStop, Phil Canto. I'm a big BattleTech fan. I have been since BattleTech came out. I have played it tabletop. It's a lot of fun. I have played the Mechwarriors religiously. I have played every Mechwarrior. I actually even made a serious attempt to play Mechwarrior online, even though it is a PvP exclusive game. I tried Mech Commander and hated it. But there's, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit. There's two reasons I've always found the thing fascinating. First of all, you're piloting a giant mech shooting other mechs. That's just got a cool factor, okay? I'm sorry. But the other reason is the setting. BattleTech is actually a fascinating setting to me, because it's a setting that has extensive FTL capacity and is, at the same time, very, very low tech. It is effectively a medieval society, on purpose. It's built into the lore. It is very hard science. Most of the science is very down to earth, and it's very... it's very believable. It's not very Star Trek-y, if you will. It feels more hard science to me than Mass Effect, for example. And I love that, and I love the setting, and I love the politics, and I love the war, and I love the stories, and... There's so much about the setting I find fascinating. So for those of you not aware, Mechwarrior 5, Mercenaries, by the way, Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, it's also one of the very few games that has consistently given me the mercenary gameplay. I've actually talked about this before, how much I enjoy the concept of playing mercenary gameplay, playing as a merc. There's actually surprisingly few games that have really hit that niche. But anyway, so Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries... is a game in which you are going through the Third Succession War. Now, I have no idea if you know what that means, but I'm going to tell you because screw you, I love the setting. The third succession war is the third of four succession wars during a period of time just generally kind of referred to as the Dark Ages. So there was this very advanced society that expanded and formed something eventually referred to as the Star League. A series of events happened that made that go downhill very quickly. Obviously, the clans left, Alexander Kerensky left, and warfare had developed warfare technology had developed to the point where they could, and I hate to quote Babylon 5 here, quite literally bomb each other into the Stone Age. They literally lost technology because they were so advanced. Because they were so advanced in fighting. Imagine, if you will, right now, in real life, you had the ability to wipe out a country. Just how much culture, history, technology, science, art would be lost if you took, it doesn't matter what country I said, any country in the world, and just wiped it out, erased it, got rid of the factories, got rid of the infrastructure, bombed it out of existence, basically. This is what was happening all over the place during the Four Succession. Brandon Sanderson's... Who? Remind me who that is. But yeah, it's the degradation of technology through technology. It is, they basically were... Well, see, not really, Cashel. We are at a period of our lives, technology speaking right now, where that kind of a thing could only happen into a really, 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 really horrible circumstance. Now imagine, if you will, that nuclear warfare was common in real life. That we were constantly bombing each other. That we were constantly erasing chunks of Earth. Just erasing it. And yeah, the Star League could do it without counterattack. That was very important. So there are... Basically, they ended up losing a lot of technology, a lot of research. They literally... it's kind of a Warhammer situation, but again, it wasn't a complete status quo situation. It's more like, if you could picture their technological progress, it was like this, and then they hit this high point, and then the rebellion hit, and then the Civil War hit, and then things went bad, and then Kerensky left, and then it just plummeted. And the Four Succession Wars, it just completely plummeted until it kind of leveled out towards the end there, with the foundation of the Lyran Alliance and the Federated Sons and the all the great houses kind of started stabilizing, and more of a Cold War situation started happening as opposed to the hot war of the Succession Wars. Anyways, so the third Succession War is the biggest one in my opinion. It's really, really a big one. It's awesome. I'm very looking forward to playing during that period of time. This is also basically the last real Succession War that happened prior to the clans reintroducing. Now that is something that's very relevant, I think, to the significance of Mechwarrior 5 specifically. Almost every other... Hang on. Yes, every other Mechwarrior game has had something to do with the clans to some extent or another. Let me just go ahead and say I'm a clanner. Ghost Wolf Bear. Did I say that? Ghost Wolf Bear? Did I seriously say that? Ghost Bear. Sorry. I'm a clanner. Clanner for life, yo. Filthy freeborns. Anyways, but this might be the first Mechwarrior game that actually doesn't have clan influence in it, because it's taking place several decades before the clans first came back, before the clans first began their invasion corridors into the Inner Sphere. And that's cool. It's going to be entirely Inner Sphere focused at that point, which I think is awesome. And I really love the idea of playing a mercenary during the Succession Wars, because that's when the mercenary thing really started taking off in terms of the setting and the lore therewith. And I don't really have much else to say because it's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually really genuinely excited. That being said, the game's probably not coming out in 2018, so all of my hype has just evaporated. We already talked about this earlier. We literally already talked about this. I'm not super excited anymore because it's not coming out for a year and a half. Oh my god. But I do want to say one other thing about it. What I find funny, it's the same company, the same group of developers that made, no, I have not, Necro, that have made Mechwarrior Online, are the ones who are making Mechwarrior 5 Mercs. And they have actually gone out of the way to constantly, like everything they talked about, and when they were talking about it during MechCon was, It's going to have single player. 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 I like that they have re-mentioned that over and 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 over again. Because for those of you not aware, Mechwarrior Online has no single player other than a tutorial. So I like how they're constantly trying to push the idea that, no, really, this is going to have a single player campaign and whatnot. They've also said that your choices will matter. We'll see how that works. No, none of that is in the Imperium, nor do I have any reason for it to be. Fun fact, when I first played Mechwarrior 2, I was a wolf guy for life. But then, Ghost Bear, I mean, come on, dude. Ghost Bear! The Bear Dominion! Anyways. I made, let me say one thing here. I made very serious, real attempts to enjoy Mechwarrior Online, and I failed miserably. I failed so miserably. I wanted to like it. The gameplay was good in the tutorial, and I'm like, okay, it plays like a good Mechwarrior game. Because let's be honest with ourselves, not every Mechwarrior game has been good in terms of the gameplay of how to control this while controlling movement, while controlling weapons, and blah blah blah. Yeah, the so I mean, cool and all that. It does play very well, and then it was nothing but it was literally nonstop PvP. You guys know this. I've talked about this before. I don't even enjoy Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm, two games I love when I'm playing against other players. I just don't enjoy it. I have tried many times to enjoy it. I've tried recently to enjoy it. Can't do it. So Mechwarrior Online, I made a real serious attempt to enjoy it, and I failed miserably. If you are, however, interested in PvP, it is actually some good PvP fun, but it is pure PvP. Now, that's all I got. Has everyone been voting? I hope you guys have been voting, because if you haven't, then you suck. But I do have a new voting system here to determine our winners. Let's see. Let's show the details. What do we got here? So it looks like we have had a couple of people voting. 39. We have 39 votes. Do I only have 39 voters? Get your votes in, guys. I'm going to take a brief break here. Make sure you get your vote in. Make sure to get your vote in right now, and get your thoughts in, get your votes in. Go click, go vote, and I will be back in just a little bit, and then we'll start Blizzard Sunday.